Welcome to the Early Night Show with Anway Pramanik.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode with me, your host Anway Pramanik, with the Early Night Show. This one's going to be sort of a mission statement blog for me, a podcast for me, and I would also like it to be a sort of mission statement for you who's listening to this. Whether the plan that I have for this podcast is the kind of podcast you want to stick around for. I think I'm clear on what I want to do with this, where I want to take this. But now, in this next 20 minutes, I'm going to expand on this vision a little bit more. And I'm going to give some space and give some direction to myself with this early night show. So without taking up too much of your time, let's just jump right in. I'm actually a little nervous about doing this, but I'm going to do it nonetheless. For me, personally, I think I've always wanted to keep this podcast as a space where I can unload my thoughts at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I can find a space where, whether it's one thing that's stuck with me the entire day or something that's stuck with me for a while and I'm going to use this one day to talk about it. But it's a place it's a place to unload. And that's what I've wanted it to be for myself. Let me just quickly take a sip of water. Imagine what must have been going through Chadwick Boseman's mind while he was shooting Black Panther and the Infinity War or Endgame, whatever that came after that. Knowing that he's kind of living on borrowed time. I'm not going to go out and make the assumption that because Chadwick Boseman knew he was going to die, he probably said, fuck it, I'm going to just take the biggest risks of my life and do the biggest things that I've always wanted to do because I know I'm going to die anyways. I'm just assuming. Now, what if this is a very stoic philosophy, right? To know that you're going to die someday, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but that someday you're going to die. And this whole concept we have, that I can do it tomorrow, I can do it day after tomorrow. It's like living on borrowed time kind of a concept because we don't have that tomorrow. We are leaving everything to the elements outside of our control, like hoping that everything goes smoothly in the universe so that my tomorrow happens and maybe I'll do something tomorrow. So I think I've been wanting to have something of my own for the last 5 to 6 years of my life. And I wanted it to be a space where I can do whatever the fuck I wanted without it becoming routine or like a job or like monotonous or something that I have to do as an expectation for someone else. And in the process of me experimenting over the last 5 years, I've come to realize that my greatest skill is being able to talk and to be able to think to deconstruct topics. So I can talk very well, I can deconstruct topics, and I'm good at understanding human behavior and human psyche to an extent. These are the three core skill sets that I have. Like, I can talk and convince people, or talk. I can just talk. I know how to speak. I know how, or at least I have an insight into behavior and how people behave, or how the human beings behave. And the third thing is, I think I just forgot. So I like to talk, I have this insight into behavior, and I like deconstructing thoughts. Deconstructing things, whatever it is, I like to deconstruct who, what, when, where, why, how. And the last thing is, the fourth circle I would say is that I like to experience new things. Like whatever it is, like that. That's why I made this podcast yesterday or day before, the try the fuck out of everything. TTFOE. FOOE. Try the fuck out of everything. So these four things are like basically speak, deconstruct, behavior, and experiences. I would like this podcast to be something that I create, which enables me to do all four of these things at my leisure, and at the same time hopefully make some money out so that I can have my financial independence as well. So I want to be able to talk about whatever, whoever, whenever, whatever it is I want to talk. I want to be able to deconstruct complex stuff into simple things, simple explanations. Over here, I want to analyze my behavior and use that as a sort of blueprint to understand why others do what they do. And the fourth thing is I want to experience new things and talk about it on this podcast, and also use this podcast to experience new things. So I think there's a short term and a long term vision for this. Short term, that I want to probably create 100 episodes with myself deconstructing my thoughts. 100 episodes is like less than 1/4 of a year, 1/3 of a year. So for 1/3 of a year, I want to journal my thoughts here. Use this space to think, deconstruct, talk, and also understand my own behavior in the process. And also invite some of my close friends, people I really closely, very actively talk to about things, or even people who just like to be here in this space, who I know. So I want to give a space to them also to come and have a conversation. Because I think every one of us out there on this planet would like a space where we can unload ourselves, be ourselves, talk without knowing that there's no judgment coming from the other side or from anywhere, and that there's no repercussions of me saying what I have to say. And that I can use this space as a platform to introspect, deconstruct, understand myself better, others better, and probably give myself the space to think a lot and talk about what I think. So and topics of my interest, which probably I might not want to talk about in other places. So I want to give others that space as well. And I think that's the short term goal. Now, I think my long term goal with this is I would like to monetize it somehow. I think I have a few plans. I've got to take them to action and figure out if this can be monetized. But for that, also, I need to, I think, have a track record of proving that number one, I'm serious about doing this, and number two, there are people serious about listening to me. Those are two things, and then I want to, using that financial freedom, I want to explore this world, explore the different things out there. This is where the experience thing comes in. I want to explore the world. Just give me a second. I want to explore the world. I want to experience the different things out there, and in the process, also I want to talk to the different people who are experiencing these things out there and make it international, because I've never wanted to limit myself to my geography or my interests or my culture. Like, I want to talk to, if they would like to talk to me, I want to talk to a scientist from NASA. I want to talk to a scientist from SpaceX. I want to talk to not just celebrities, but people who are everyday working people contributing to the growth of humanity in some way. Like, even if it's a farmer who's just growing wheat, even if it's like someone who's probably maybe a lighthouse watchman in like somewhere, maybe I would like to talk to someone who makes street food daily. Like, I have a friend who is from IIT, and for a while in Koramangala, Bangalore, he was selling poha outside of that Taco Bell, in that Koramangala, so that signal, Sony signal. Every morning from 8 to 10, Priyansh, this is a shout out for you, bro. 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 or 10 to 12. Every morning, him and his friend, they would sell poha. Just a fucking hustle. So, like, I've always been someone, and I think if you're listening to this, you will agree that I've always been someone who's really good at making connections with people, because I could talk to them, connect to them, understand the behavior of how I should be around them. Like, not manipulating them, but making myself more approachable. And that's exactly what I want to use this as a space for. Like, clear cut, I want to be, tomorrow I want to say to myself, there is a big event happening in Japan. It's 6 months from now. I'm going to go to Japan today or tomorrow, stay there for 6 months. In the process of 6 months, shoot a bunch of content about Japan, Japanese people. Again, I don't want to be like, one of those generic people eating ramen in the streets or covering otaku culture, but I want to actually talk to the real everyday 9 to 5 people of Japan, not the celebrities, not the people with the PR friendly answers and the PR ready answers, but people who will genuinely want to share stuff. I want to talk to them. I want to understand. I want to live with the real families of that place, or the real people, the real kids, the real teenagers, the real adults, and experience that culture from them. Because I think, apart from what I like to watch on Netflix or Nat Geo, I really want to experience that culture firsthand. Right? So I want to really do that. Like, maybe talk to an ex-samurai warrior or a descendant of a samurai family, if they would allow me. And then maybe 6 months after that, I tell my sponsor or whoever it is, hey dude, I want to go to Spain now, because something's happened, like maybe the Tomatina festival. So then, 6 months in Japan, I end with the Cherry Blossom Festival, and then I'm going to Spain for this festival. And I want to do that. Then maybe, 5 years from now, this podcast has built such a cult following of real listeners who want to listen to real stories, of people who want to share their stories, a real space for real stories, a place to unwind at the end of the day. They'll be like, you know what? They will have so much user generated power. Like, I want the audience to also have a power in terms of dictating, like I want probably, I'll probably end up hiring 10, 15 guys from around the world, equipping them with some basic conversational skills, basic behavioral skills, make them free, enable them to open up about the things they've always been very confident about, but they've just been shy to open up, rather always been knowledgeable about, but rather shy to open up, and make them the next podcast hosts of the show. So early nights with Stefan Bradl in Austria, early nights with Théophile Jamon in France, early nights with Paul Allen in UK, early nights with Rebecca Johnson in the USA, early nights with Christine Murphy in Australia, maybe early nights with Paulina in Prague. And all of them will have the same ethos, that it's your space to talk about the things that you like to talk about and invite others to do the same around you. And once in a while, I'll drop in as a host. Create this as a community who like to come together and talk about the things. And then, maybe for all you know, this could probably translate into the 10 hosts or guests who have come, 5 hosts, 10 hosts and 50 guests. We meet up in a, like how I've always been interested in hosting house parties. We meet up somewhere, maybe some ranch in Pennsylvania. We rent the ranch out for a week. We all stay there. We record a bunch of content. We come together, collaborate, projects happen. I've always wanted to do stuff like that. And I think that this is a podcast where if I'm seriously putting in the time and the effort and the discipline, I can hopefully achieve those goals. And that is the vision. That's the long-term vision. And I think then there's an infinite vision after that where, I can industrialize it. Because it can't just be audio podcast forever. I'll have to translate into video and audio, video. So keeping all of those things in mind, I think the reason I wanted to do this podcast is not so much to show off to you that Anway Pramanik wants to do so many things, but rather to tell Anway Pramanik tomorrow when I listen to this podcast myself, it'll almost be like a reminder to myself that this is why I'm doing it, bro. And any point of time I feel demotivated, then macha, today why am I recording these podcasts? Today I don't want to do it. Why do I need to spend time, like 1 hour editing my content, 1 hour maintaining it? These kind of things. It's because I want that long-term goal. And in the process, I think if I can even entertain one person, if I can even get one person to open up about themselves by being a guest, that will really make me very happy. I would love 1 billion, all the people on this planet to listen to this, because I want it to be as unpretentious as it can. I don't want to have a filter on what I'm saying here and make it PR friendly. I want to tell you exactly what my vision and plan is. I want to make money out of this. I want to experience my life's passions out of this. I want to give others the space to maybe monetize this in some way, maybe I have 100k people watching it, and these are 100k very intellectual people who, when I say intellectual, I don't mean to say people who are well read and speak well, but people who know their shit. Whether it's a street smart beggar in Dharavi who knows how to fucking make his money at the end of the day by hustling, or if it's a guy who's solving astrophysics on a metaphysical level. I don't care. Intellectual is, for me, how you conduct yourself when you interact with the universe around you. I think that is what intelligence is, and that's divided into emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and whatever. It's a brilliant topic in and of itself for a podcast. Let's take a deep breath now. I really wanted to unload this today. I don't know why. 2 minutes before this podcast, before I sat down to record it, I was making dinner and I told myself, you know what, fuck it, let me watch a TV show and just chill today. I've had a very long week. But at the back of my head, I'd saved an alarm in the morning today at 7:30 in the evening. Let's start thinking about what is my vision for this early night show. And I think if I'd not done this today, I would have escaped from the fact that my life's goal has always been to have that freedom and learn and talk. Because I've always, like, even now when I'm talking to clients, I like to be very inquisitive. It's just something very natural. Like, I ask stupid questions, but I ask a lot of questions about everything. Like, you told me that you have nuts and bolts. Like, do you have 10 different kinds of nuts and bolts? And do you have 10 different kinds of nuts and 10 different kinds of bolts? And can I take nut 1 and mix it with bolt 2? Or does nut 1 only go with bolt 1? And can I maybe make a nut which is omni, things like I fucking love having those kind of discussions, because I want this to be like how Joe Rogan has made his podcast about a podcast for humanity. I want this to be a podcast for human stories. So I don't want to discuss maybe great ideas over here and get Neil deGrasse Tyson and intellectuals to talk about great big stuff, but I want to get real people to talk about their real stories, which I think is what maybe we would connect, or at least I know I would connect with the most. So yeah, of course it's going to be a place for big ideas, but like I said, it's going to be real, and as real as we can make it. So if you've joined me today, and if you've listened to this podcast, I can shamelessly say that you are going to be listening to every podcast or every big podcast that I make for the rest of my life. I can shamelessly say it, but also at the same time I can very proudly say it. If you've got a drink next to you, this is the time when I'll say take a sip. Even if you've not got a drink next to you, just pour a glass of water and drink 3-4 sips at least. Hydrate yourself. Send me your energies, send me your love. I'm gonna send you my energy and my love. Whether you're alone, whether you're with someone right now, whether you're cuddling, whether you're not cuddling, I guess. You are in my thoughts, and I would like you to keep me in your thoughts. Because at the end of the day, that's all we are, right? We're here to connect. We're here to be human with each other. I wouldn't know how to be human if not for the other humans I talk to, and I'm guessing I can also show a fraction of the crazy batshit experience that is being a human being to others. So thank you for joining me tonight. It is 9:22 p.m. here. I hope you had fun listening to me. I hope you felt motivated maybe to do something of your own listening to this. Or maybe I can just be an asshole and say maybe you decided to be motivated with me, and or like maybe this is demotivated, like, what a pretentious asshole, listen to him. As long as it had an effect on you, I'm happy. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is your host Anway Pramanik, wishing you good night, much love and warmth. I'll see you on the next podcast, which I think is going to be podcast number 9. Anyways, good night.